Okay, welcome to MicroPie. I'm Harrison Erd. This is a ASGI framework I have written recently. This is just a little lightning talk with a real basic introduction to MicroPie. What is MicroPie? A lot of you might be asking, it's brand new. What the hell is that? Well, it's an ultra micro framework. It uses the ASGI transfer protocol. So it's not WSGI, it's async ready. Its routing is inspired by CherryPie, and more specifically, actually circuits.web. Um, circuits.web's routing is based on CherryPie as well, so kind of the same thing. But really, what that means is method-based routing, implicit routing. It's a single file framework. This isn't really because it's not inspired by Bottle, even though Bottle is another single file framework, which is pretty similar, other than it's WSGI. We like Bottle a lot. You can look at this as a implicitly routed asynchronous Bottle like framework. It's a ASGI, as I mentioned multiple times so far. So we're going to need to run it on servers like UVcorn, Daphne, pretty much any ASGI server. And MicroPie is really, at the end of the day, all it is just a neat way to write small web applications. Under the hood, we got about 400 lines of code, 300 lines of tests, 400 lines of documentation, a bunch of examples. Anything you can think of, we got an example of it. Check out the examples folder. Um, Everything, JSON sessions, streaming, WebSockets, whatever you need. We got an example of how to do it using MicroPie and some other technologies, Socket.io, serve statics, things like that. Jinja 2 is optional. So if you have Jinja 2 installed, you can use the render template method, and you can use dynamic HTML with templating. Multipart, written by Defnol, and he's also the creator of Bottle, actually. But we use Multipart as our multipart parser, so we can handle file uploads and stuff like that. That's optional as well. So what does MicroPie come with? First, it's got cookie-based sessions. Jinja 2 pre-configured. If installed, you can modify the request data before and after the request using middleware. As we mentioned earlier, it's method-based URL mapping. So there's no decorators or routers like there are in Fast API or Starlet or Flask or things like that. It's similar to how CherryPie works, and even more similar to how circuits.web works. You can also do JSON requests and responses. So for APIs, that's really useful, and MicroPie makes it really easy to handle JSON. And you can also do custom session backends. So by default, the cookie-based session support uses a in-memory dictionary as its backend to store your sessions. In production, obviously that's not the way to do it. So you want to use something like Redis or even Motor with MongoDB can handle it. Things like that. We make it really easy to do that with our custom session backends. So let's move on to your classic Hello World program, or in this case, Hello Web, if you will. We will import our app class from MicroPie, and we'll create an instance of it called root. And let's create our first route handler. This one's going to be the endpoint /. So our index endpoint, and this one's going to be called index. So whatever application you have, if you create a method called index in your app class, it's going to route to that /, your main endpoint right there. And for this one, we'll just do have it return hello web as a string. And then we can create an instance of our root app class called app, which we can call using UVcorn. Say we save that as app.py. We can run it with UVcorn app. You go to localhost 8000, and you should see hello web. Really simple, 5 lines, and very clear. No boilerplate code or anything like that. Just easy and fast web development right there. Rendering templates. Let's upgrade a little bit from our classic hello web to our hello template example here. Again, same route handler. This time it's going to take an argument. So /hello would map to this this route using hello as your message variable. It would set message as hello or whatever is trailing that forward slash. The first character, the first word there, will be your message variable. So you can return the render template method, which is built into MicroPie's app class. Say we have an index.html file saved in our templates directory. We can make it display the message there. Really easy, makes it really easy to use Jinja 2. No setup, no boilerplate, still 5 lines of code, and you have working templates. Async working templates, I should add, which is really cool. So the request data, MicroPie uses a global request object, which is convenient, and there's really no way around this. Other frameworks, they pass in requests to each handler, and that's just ugly and redundant to me. I don't like that. So this is the way MicroPie does it. Let's create a route handler called new comment, as you see here, and we can check the request method. In this case, if it's a post request, then we can assume, for this example, that we're going to be posting a JSON object to this route, to this endpoint, new comment. And we can get that object and we'll store it as data using the self.request.getJSON. So we'll store that JSON object that's in the request body as data, and then we can just return it back to the user also in JSON. So it'll return that JSON dict object back. Right there, really easy and simple. Before and after request middleware, this is really easy too. This is good for rate limiting and auth and things like that. So before the request, you can create a before the request hook and after the request hook. This is done using an instance of our HTTP middleware class from MicroPie. In this example, we'll create a middleware example piece of middleware. And all this one's going to do is print hook before request and print hook after request. Down here, we'll see our index handler. When that's called, you should see in your console hook before request, handle request, hook after request. And in your browser, you should see the hello world returned. Pretty simple, easy to do, and really useful. You're going to need this a lot. It just comes in really handy. So we tried to make it as easy to implement, as possible. Your before request method up here in the middleware example, it just takes one argument, and that's your request object. Similar to what we were talking about before, down here we have a global request object. In the middleware, we do not. So we're going to pass that in from our app class, which does. And then the after request hook, you have that same request object that needs to be passed, and then you have a response object, which is a status, which is a tuple, really. But we're going to pass it as 3 separate arguments. It's going to be a status code, the response body, and your headers. And then you can append middleware, so you can have multiple middleware example 2, etc. One for auth, one for rate limiting, and you can just append them to the middlewares list in the app instance down at the bottom there. Where to get MicroPie? Well, you can install it from pip really easily. If you want all the dependencies, which is Jinja 2, multi-part, and AIO files needed for the template rendering and multi-part uploads and multi-part parsing, you can do this command, pip install MicroPie all. If you want to pip install MicroPie with none of the dependencies, or say you already have them handled, then you can do pip install MicroPie and it'll install just the bare version. You can also go to the GitHub page and just copy and paste the script into your working directory, and you'll have a working web framework, just like you would with Bottle almost. So it makes it real easy, real portable to get started developing a simple web application. The point of MicroPie is to get the hell out of your way and let you code and build whatever you want to build. And I think it does a pretty good job at that. So if you notice that it's not doing a good job, please go to the GitHub page. You can see the link right here, github.com/pax, PATX/MicroPie, and file an issue report. I'm pretty good at answering the issue reports, or at least I try to be within 12 hours. I'll get back to you at least with a response, and then we can start debugging. and fixing things. We take pull requests, we review a lot of pull requests and everything like that. So any help we can get from the community and any support, we are very, very thankful for, and we love working with you guys, and we want to provide I want to provide the best framework we can here, um, keeping within its simple and natural flexibility and simplicity origins. Um, the project website, pax.github.io/micropie. Um, Good link to share. It'll point you to the GitHub. The GitHub has links, documentation, again, a bunch of examples that you can check out and really get to know the framework. And that's about it. So thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for watching, and go build something cool with MicroPie. Let me know how it goes.